it's my turn to do the interviewing today, after Ken's been doing saying to other people for a long time, and after a very topsy-turvy season, which ended quite well, except for one thing, and that is that we're losing someone who has been, if you rightly called, a Wimborne legend. And Ken, you've been with the club for how long?
My first Wimborne game was back in November '91, Dave. We'd not long moved to this area, and I took my son Stephen along to watch Wimborne, and it was a game against Chard in the FA Vase, of course, in the FA Vase campaign that they eventually won at Wembley that season. So the first game was here in November '91, where we beat Chard 5-2, and I particularly remember from that game a super Taffy Richardson strike that he scored in that game. And after that we were hooked. I think what hooked us most was, my son was only 12, so I'm not sure of him, but was the friendliness of the club and how welcoming they were and how nice everybody was. And we'd been to other clubs, Bournemouth, Poole, but there was no doubt once I'd been to Cuthbury, this was my club.
I think nothing really changed much in that respect, has it?
Not really.
Very friendly.
I've been, well, absolutely. And, you know, what constitutes success for a football club at our level? Well, what constitutes success is playing good football, putting smiles on the faces of supporters, and being very, very welcoming and friendly to the opposition. Whether you win or whether you lose, it doesn't matter, because you'll always do both of those things in a season. Be nice.
So you obviously went along as a spectator. What sort of things did you actually, how did you get involved in actually doing rather more than that?
Well, from that first game, I think my next game was an away game at Blandford in the Dorset Senior Cup, and Stephen and I just started going to every game, home and away. Got to know some of the officials and everything like that, and we got to be recognised. I was asked to be a steward in the late 90s and helped out doing that, and then Nick O'Hara, the then chairman, lovely guy Nick, good friend, asked me if I would take over the match programme in 2000. So I think that I remember always it was 2000, because the previous two games before I took over, we had won the league and we'd won the League Cup, and then I took over and we didn't win anything for 13 years after that. Apart from one League Cup, I think. But I produced the match programme for the next 13 years after that. I was happy to do so.
You were always in the country. In fact, you had a job where for quite a while you'd spend the midweek away, presumably working on this programme in the hotel room every night.
Well, it gave me something to do. I mean, I worked for Barclays and travelled all over Africa and the Caribbean, and you've got to do something with your time, so it wasn't a big problem. And thankfully, the internet was just coming into vogue at the time, so I was able to contact people and get information as required at that time.
You actually spent about a year in South Africa and produced the programmes, and also wrote the match reports.
You weren't supposed to say that. I was supposed to be at the games, Dave, but with your help, yes, I lived in South Africa for a year in 2006 and produced the match programme from there, emailing it to the printers. And I remember on Thursday night, the time difference at the time was either 1 hour or 2 hours. I used to phone here at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock Pretoria time on a Thursday night to talk to Arnie, the manager at the time, and get his thoughts for the programme, and then write them up and email them to the printer. It sounds amazing. It wasn't that difficult, to be honest. It wasn't that difficult.
And then came back shortly after that. You retired, and I think you had thoughts of doing some other job, but you got sucked into Wimborne and ended up with an underpaid and very, very time-consuming job eventually.
Well, by that time Ken Stewart was chairman, and he asked me in 2010. I was still doing the programme at the time, but I'd retired, and he asked me if I would be prepared to join the board. An enormous honour. I was really honoured by that. And Ken, great guy, good friend of mine. Of course I said yes. And that was the season, you'll remember, David. Of course we won promotion on that emotional night at Ulster. We won promotion to the Southern League, which is a great night.
And you got sort of sucked in, you took over the finances and everything.
Yes. What I've done for the last 5 years is finance director, done the bookkeeping, managed the bank accounts, managed the HMRC relationship, and various other things. But
the new ground discussions.
I've been involved in the new ground discussions, but let's have a reality check here. Nobody who gets involved with a non-league club does it other than because they want to do it. And there's plenty of people at this club who do just as much as I do, the likes of Jeff Robbins, Peter Barham, Brian Sibley, yourself, Dave, Graham Dunn, who's taken over the programme from me. These people all put in enormous amounts of work. And they do it because they want to do it. And I don't know whether they'll thank me for saying this, but our thanks shouldn't go to them. Our thanks should go to their poor suffering wives who have to put up with 3 a.m. deadlines for programmes, and sorry, I've got to be at the club at 7 o'clock tomorrow because I'm printing the programmes, which is what I've done for the last 5 years. And sometimes at 8 o'clock on a Friday morning when the printer's acting like a damnary coach, you think, I really don't want to be here, but by and large you do it because you want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're certainly involved in pretty much everything. But I mean, if anybody wanted to know what's happening at the club, I mean, they asked you. It was the simplest thing.
They seemed to, but there's plenty of other people who knew what was going on. I mean, the other thing that you and I did was, way back in the Wessex League days, we decided wouldn't it be a good idea to have summaries, or video summaries of matches. And
yes.
You remember we had some hairy moments there. Typically when floodlights were switched off in the middle of our discussions. And I remember one time at Poppies where we had to go about 100 yards down the street and find a street lamp that was still in operation and stand underneath that and give my summary of the Poppies game. I think we started that at Brockenhurst in 2009, which is what, seven years ago? No, actually 2007 I think it was, so it's 9 years ago that we've been doing it, Dave. You don't look a day older, if I may say so.
I feel more than a day older, but yes, I remember the Poppies one.
Yes.
Classic, where the light, we found a light, started, went off, and moved round.
And then we started having occasional interviews with people like Steve Cuss, great friend of mine, fantastic manager for this football club, excellent coach, did more than anyone will ever know for this football club, Steve Cuss.
Yes.
A name that should live long in the history of the Wimborne Town Football Club. He was more than happy to, almost always, whatever the result, talk to me after the game. I remember one game at Fleet he wasn't very happy to talk to me about, but most times he would undergo the agony of an interview with me after the game. And to be fair, Simon's exactly the same now, and fair play to him.
Yeah, Simon's sort of out there very quickly. There's just one or two cases with both managers where we've sort of thought and then, no, we won't bother them.
you can tell from the body language where it says, do not approach me under any circumstances, I am not happy. And you and I just sort of look at each other and we say, we'll just do the summary, we'll not bother with the interview this time.
Yeah. Yeah, so, right. I mean, a lot's happened in the last year. It's. I mean, how do you read what's gone on? I mean,
Well, I think the first thing to say is that we're extremely lucky as a football club that Paula Henley has come in to be chairperson. I think she's excellent. There will be teething problems, there have been teething problems, but I have absolutely 100% no doubt that Paula will take us on as a football club. And I think I'm a very lucky person. I decided to leave, to move on. We're moving away. I decided that back in December last year, and I engaged Paula in discussions. She'd been here before and asked her if there was any possibility that she might want to come back, and she said yes. I discussed it with my fellow directors, and we agreed that that was the best move for us. And that's not to cast any aspersions on the previous board, because you know, the likes of Ken Stewart and all the other directors that I was lucky enough to share a boardroom with have been excellent. Ken Stewart in particular, he's been excellent for this football club. He's one of the reasons that Wimborne Town is held in such high regard, and I believe that Paula will be exactly the same. She's a can-do person. She'll be good for this club, no doubt about it.
What we were saying about Ken Stewart, I mean, he's really the figurehead for the club, wasn't he? He's still is. Yes. And going to away games and sort of meeting some of the directors, and the most common question is Ken coming to us? I mean, he seems to know everybody, and you know, it's really like an old friend.
Absolutely. I mean, we'd go away and say we got stuffed 4-0 or something. The last thing I wanted to do was go into the directors' lounge and talk to the other directors. Ken was always happy to do it. He was saying to me, he would say to me, I'm biting my words back, but he would still do it because basically he's a very, very, very nice person, and everybody likes him. Would that we could all be like that.
So you're moving on now?
Yeah. Well, we're moving to Cambridgeshire. Been down here for 26 years. Absolutely loved it here. I can't imagine anywhere nicer in Britain to live than here. Our daughter lives up in Cambridgeshire, and she's pregnant with her first child, married a couple of years ago, and so we thought this is probably the right time to move on. And so once I sell my house, if that ever happens, anybody out there interested in buying a very nice extended 4-bedroom detached house in Ferndown, see me. Brian McCann, sorry, no discount for Wimborne Town Supporters Club, Support Club members. But that'll happen, and we will probably be away sometime this summer. But you know, I'll still be a Wimborne Town supporter. When I left Scotland, I mean, I'm a 4th generation Hibs supporter, season ticket holder. I never ever thought I could feel this way about a football club again, but I do. I'll always be a Wimborne Town supporter. I'll be coming back to games occasionally, so I will see you all.
What about that, yeah. And if we get a game against Cambridge United,
well, when Simon and Brendan take us up to the Premier Division next season, in 2017-2018, I'll be there with my Wimborne Town scarf when you play away to Cambridge United. No doubt.
Now, I know you're not going to just sort of buy a nice comfortable pair of slippers and lounge around the house. What are you going to be doing? You're going to have nearly an extra 23 hours a day to fill. What are you going to be doing?
Well, I've told my wife, and I'm not sure, I've told Liz, I'm not sure this is good news for her, that I'll be seeing a lot more of her in the future. She'll be seeing a lot more of me. She's told me that I can go and watch football up there, either Cambridge United or probably St Ives Town, who's Division 1 Central. But she's given me strict instructions that I mustn't talk to anyone, I mustn't get sucked into any responsibilities. But we'll see. On a serious note, I can't imagine, I certainly will never ever feel the same about any other club as I do about Wimborne Town, so I don't think that's likely to happen. I'll play a lot of golf.
fair. What have been any highlights of?
Well, I've been asked this a few times, and well, obviously, the highlight is the 1992 FA Vase final, 25th of April 1992, Guiseley. And what people often forget about the FA Vase in those days was that Southern League Step 4 teams could enter that competition. We beat Hastings, who were Step 4. We beat Guiseley, who were Step 4. Guiseley were the holders of the trophy. They'd won it the previous year. We went to Wembley as complete underdogs. But my goodness, if you looked at that team, and I can see them now in my mind's eye, warming up on Wembley pitch before the game, we looked every inch the professionals. The great Alex Pike, the greatest manager that Dorset's ever produced without any shadow of a doubt, had those players absolutely up for it. We had stars like Tommy Killick, a great player, Tommy Killick, Jamie Sturgis, and of course Taffy Richardson, great captain. What a player he was. Stroller in midfield, Trevor Eames at the back, Kevin Leonard in goal. And, you know, when Taffy hit that equaliser from long range, halfway through the first half, there was only one winner, because that team were winners. So that's the greatest memory I've got. But also games at Clevedon, where we beat them 4-3 after extra time in the FA Vase in an absolute gale. Games at Aldershot, where we lost unluckily 1-0 in the Vase. A wonderful win against Leamington Town in the League Cup at Bemerton in 2000, where we completed the double for the second time, Wessex League and Wessex League Cup. That was a great, great day. You know, that season 1999-2000, Leamington Town lost only 3 games, domestic 3 games in the whole season, and they were all to us. They lost two league games, both to Wimborne Town, and they lost the cup final to us. They finished second in the league. Yeah, that was a team of winners. And you know, we've seen this season that Leicester won the title. They probably won't do it next season, but they're a team of winners, and that team was a team of winners. And if you want, skill's fine, but you need winners. People are going to put the hard work in and win. That's what I remember most about Wimborne Town, being winners and playing good football. And I should say also, the great FA Trophy run of a couple of seasons ago, because let's be honest, Wessex League is one thing, Southern League's another. But Steve Cuss's team that got to the first round proper of the FA Trophy against Oxford City here, what a fantastic run that was. What good football we played, what good players. Mark Gamble, James Stockwell, Scott Arnold. Great, really, really good players, and it's been a privilege for me to watch them give their all for Wimborne Town over the years.
Okay, well, we'll be very sorry to see you go. That's the way it is. Thanks for everything you've done for the club, and all the best.
Well, Dave, we're going to just finish. Thank you to you for standing up on these exposed gantries for the last 8-9 years, delivering to the stay-at-home fans images of Wimborne Town. A lot of people have said nice things about me recently, but there's a hell of a lot of unsung heroes at this club, and you're one of them. Carry on, and thank you very much for being behind the camera all these years. Appreciate it.
Okay. Cheers.
Thanks. Cheers.